Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi coming to you live this Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Every Tuesday I've been doing for the last several years to take your general immigration-based questions about the U.S. immigration program live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok today. So feel free to add your questions for general education purposes. So, you can't go too much into detail about your case. They're really sitting there talking with you, having a full consultation. For that, please email the office info@jqklaw.com and briefly describe your case so we kind of figure out what's going on and take it from there. Also, if you're interested in a fiance visa, marriage green card case, and stuff like that, what you got to do is download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, John's Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. The website to do that is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And that's where you could download the guide, 40 plus pages, really breaking down the process and what's going on. It's going to help you a lot. And then contact us for scheduling an actual consultation to go through it. Having said that, let's get started with the questions. Farhan asked, my case is not moving to NBC until now. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. USCIS approved it and it's not going to NBC. If so, make sure you didn't need to do an IA-24. There wasn't a mistake there. And in that light, Masi asked, hello, how long does it take for USCIS to process an IA-24 case? Thank you. Anywhere from 3 months to 2 years, unfortunately. It's a horrible form to have to use. Bob Young just says, hi, is it better if I change my embassy from Abu Dhabi to Armenia? Probably. I can't say that for certain, but most likely. Brian asks, I have friends in Lebanon trying to get out of because of the war. Is humanitarian parole or political asylum available, or is there a better way to move them to the United States? So for political asylum, you have to physically be in the U.S. or at the very least at the border. We don't handle asylum cases, so I don't want to talk more about that. But humanitarian parole, you can apply, but frankly, it's not going to happen. There's people in Afghanistan who are getting denied. I'm not sure Lebanon's going to be that much different, but you can always give it a shot. I can't guarantee that's going to work that way. Are there other ways moving here? Not really. You can do what everyone else is doing, which is go to southern border. I can't recommend that, but that seems like what everyone in the world is doing. But it's a terrible situation, unfortunately. It looks like a disaster is happening in slow motion. Jojo says, my wife arrived on an SB1 visa. She will submit N400 December. Any issues, you think? Jojo, I can't. How could I say that? I don't know anything about your wife other than one sentence that she wrote me. Sierra says, hi, my husband's case has been expedited and the case was status show last updated. Next comment, please. I don't know. I don't know your case, and it's up to USCIS. Let's see. Farhan says, my I-130 is approved, but they didn't send my approval notice until now. So what do I do? How will you contact the NBC to see how come they don't have it? And they could reach out to the USCIS. If you mistakenly mark you're doing adjustment of status instead of saying you're doing consular processing on the I-130, you may have to either or both resubmit an I-130 or file an IA-24 to have the case moved. Lee Bishna, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. How long does it take to get the IA-24 approved at Texas Service Center? 3 to 2 years for any IA-24. I don't track particular service centers. Is there a waiver of misrepresentation? There is, but it doesn't apply to everybody. So it just depends on your case and who you lied and what kind of family relationships you have in the United States and that kind of stuff. Paulie asks, can my time being in the USA legally under different visa be counted towards my wait time to apply for citizenship? Nope. It has to be a time that you're a green card holder. Eunice says, sir, what is someone has mentioned by mistake in DV and now in asylum is using correct date? What if someone's mentioned by mistake in DV? I'm not sure what you made a mistake on. It depends on what the error was, how important it was, all that kind of stuff, but your sentence isn't clear, unfortunately. Usmana says, hi, I came to the U.S. on an immigration visa and after re-entry permit, immigrant visa, green card. After re-entry permit in 2020, what is the best time to apply for U.S. citizenship as I already complete 3 years? So I'm not sure why you got a re-entry permit. That means you've probably been outside the U.S. for a while. What is the best time? I got to analyze your case, schedule consultation. If you've been in the U.S. for majority of 3 years and you haven't had long absences and you satisfy all the other requirements for citizenship, then it may be appropriate for you. But these are, first of all, the information provided is really important section of the citizenship, but you haven't given enough information. Plus, there's the rest of the form and immigration issues that we got to watch out for to make sure that's correct. So schedule a consultation, info@jqklaw.com. Talk to my associate and take it from there. Yatin asks, how long does it take to get my oath? I already passed my citizenship test. It depends on the local field office and when they have times opened up for doing the oath ceremony. Processing time for asylum green cards in California, however long it takes them. The questions regarding timelines, there's no real good answers to give, so I don't want to give you something false hope that is meaningless. So How long for an I-130? Approve it for Brazil. So when you say how long for an I-130, we have I-130s for parents of U.S. citizens, children of U.S. citizens, spouse of U.S. citizens, brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens, adult children of U.S. citizens, married or single. And then we have I-130s for spouses or minor children of green card holders, adult green card holders or unmarried. So that's 8 different kinds of I-130s, first of all. Then, depending what country you're from China, Mexico, Philippines, maybe El Salvador too, and some other country. If you're from one of those, the timing is going to be different for everyone else, depending on which category you're on. So these questions, they lead to 5 extra questions I have to ask you. You have to be very specific when you ask questions like this. Bobby says, what is the average wait time for Abu Dhabi for case IR1? 1 to 2 years after deemed documentally qualified. Probably closer to 2 years. Cindy says, what happens after employment authorization card comes? What the next step? If you have a green card case pending, you wait for them to either request medical if you haven't submitted that, do an interview, or maybe just approve it, or maybe even request evidence, or maybe another fingerprinting. Could be many different things. Mion says, as an aside, in the U.S. was the quickest way to bring a spouse. The marriage happened recently. You got to get your green card and apply for a spouse visa. It's going to take forever, unfortunately. Beautiful Mind says, can someone reapply for a tourist visa if that person had a refusal entry 5 years ago? The previous tourist visa, which has not been canceled, though. We have to see why there was a refusal of entry 5 years ago. It depends on what happened there, what CBP put in the system. So we have to review documents of the case to be able to answer that question. Shaima asks, my dad is a citizen. He became a citizen when I turned 3. I am now 16. Can he apply for CRBA for me, even though he became a citizen after my birth? No. You're not at birth. You have to get a green card, and then your parent can apply for you, potentially maybe if your grandparents are green card, maybe something like that. But you got to look into that. Shaima, it's more complex. Real Shadabi says, hi, the work authorization will expire next year, but status has changed from withholding removal to adjustment status pending. When should work authorization renew? You should renew it before it expires. Probably 180 days or so before, a little less than 180 days before it expires. Hadiya says, hi, can you get a green card if you enter the U.S. illegally? It depends on, if you have in a particular kind of relationship, if you have certain waivers there. It depends on what kind of case you have. It's not impossible. It depends on what kind of case you can have. Midi says, I-130 approved, is still waiting for I-485s in 5 months. The USCIS says process normally. Yeah, they're inconsistent on timelines. Blank says, can I self-petition for a green card as an F1 visa holder with a JD degree? To self-petition, you have to either be of extraordinary ability or you have to have a national interest waiver, like work you're doing is a national interest. It's not impossible, but it depends on how much accomplishment you've had. So it really depends on your background. Joe Coites says, hi, please have not received my Social Security and USS request for medical. We'll contact Social Security office if you have a work permit. For medical, you just got to wait. Elari says, here I sit all heartbroken. Okay. Abu Ham says, will the Israel-Gaza war postpone visas in Jerusalem? Yeah, it already has. Unfortunately, they've shut down visa processing in Israel for immigrant, non-immigrant visas, unless there's like a real extreme situation. Maybe there's U.S. citizen services, but check on the website for the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, Israel, and they'll have updates on when they're processing, but potentially it's bad. Okay, Mimi keeps asking the same question. I asked her to be more specific in your questioning. Esra says, I'm pending asylum for almost 3 years. Can I apply for TPS? If you have valid TPS, yeah, you should do that if you're able to apply for it, 100%. James Turner says, can I motion to terminate removal proceedings with pending I-130 FRA before USCIS? It's not impossible. It depends on the case and what the charges are in removal. Misili says, how should I respond to USCIS to prove a parental relationship on the I-130? Request more information. Well, they specifically explain how to do that. Primarily, it's through birth certificates, if it's your dad, including a marriage certificate. Sometimes do blood tests or other evidence of relationship like affidavits, school records, and the like. Siemna says, how backed up is Santo Domingo consul for interviews? I don't know. Probably a lot. James Starr says, can I motion? Okay, answer that question. Getting a lot of repeat questions now. If he has a DWI, can he still apply for a green card? He can, but it's in discretion of the officer to deny the case. Can I answer that? Hi, positive latent TB X-ray, normal after applicant. It's normal abnormal. Some people have it, so you have to do the extra testing that's required. Mimi, probably 1 to 2 years, 2 years for the whole process, probably in Brazil for a parent U.S. citizen. Sarang says, studying online, earning a STEM master's degree through a U.S. university, What working option would be available? I'm not sure OPT option is available when I'm not F1 visa. No. If you're studying online, that's all you get. You have to find some sort of visa to apply for. Yuna says, my brother mentioned wrong date of birth in DV lottery. Now he's using the right date of birth in asylum. It's if he isn't a DV lottery and the DV lottery wasn't approved, it's probably not a big deal. It's just a typo. But he should maybe mention asylum or I don't know if this is it for myself. I don't want to give legal guidance on the cuff like this, but it's probably not an issue, but I can't say for sure. Do you have to pay a fee for N600? Yes, just go type in N600 in the internet and go to the page on USCIS and say the fee is like $1,150 or something like that. Polly says, if being in the U.S. for 5 years on a student visa, could you apply for green card citizenship? Being on a student visa for infinite amount of years will never itself lead to any form of permanent status like a green card citizenship. Can someone get married on a tourist visa? Yes. If so, how long does it take to adjust their status? 3 months to 2 years if done properly. Now, for example, if you marry a green card holder and you're on the visa waiver program, you can't do that. But if you came on a tourist visa, you can. So there's a lot going on, but generally it's possible 3 months to 2 years. I-131 spouse, how long to get in hand? 8 or 9 months probably if you're talking about advanced parole. Will the Israeli-Gaza conflict postpone visas in Jerusalem waiting for DS-5535? Yeah, I already answered that. Unfortunately, it already has. Now, because you probably don't need to do an interview if you've already done one and they requested from I-5535. They may issue it if you have your passport, but I'm not optimistic. Usually when these war stuff happens, they shut down pretty quickly and don't process things. How should I respond? Okay, I already answered that. Is it possible to get a green card a short time? Depends if you're extraordinary ability. We just got a green card petition approved, at least, for a person in 6 days at I-140 for national interest waiver with premium processing. Now we got to file for adjustment of status in a couple months. It's not clear how long that's going to take. Probably I'll be done within a year, though. Your review on the K1 visa versus marriage green card. Well, you're answering on TikTok. I have like 10 different videos I recently posted on the K1 versus marriage green card process. Also, if you go to YouTube and type in JQK Law Firm or U.S. Immigration Talk, I have a 12-minute video describing the pros and cons, the biggest pros and cons of a K1 fiancé visa versus a marriage green card. You can also download our guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. For most people, marriage green card is the proper way to go, but it depends on your case. If you're unique, you may need to do K1. It depends on what your facts are. We got to see what's going on and what's appropriate for you. Cisco says, I'm from El Salvador, just got my combo card approved. Congrats. James says, can I answer that? Okay, again, some repeat questions got to go through. Okay, Mimi, I answered your question. I'd say probably 1 or 2 years after starting the case. Amy says, hi, lawyer. Action completed, approved for filing stamp on I-485 means you probably are doing the I-24, meaning you have a dependent that's abroad, and they acknowledge that. Miti, I already responded. I said, you just got to wait, or if you want to write a letter to USCIS. New travel document, how long valid for 5 years or 1 year? Probably think it's like 2 years it depends on what travel document you're talking about. Travel document means a passport, refugee travel document, advanced parole, re-entry permit. Depends on what you're talking about. Will the Gaza answered that question? Samuel says, my wife sent my spouse I-130 since 15 months ago. I'm still waiting. Is there anything else I can do? I do live here in the U.S. Depends on your status. If you're married to a U.S. citizen and you enter lawfully, you should have filed for adjustment of status. So Samuel, schedule a consultation. I'm not clear what's going on in your case. If you got to do a waiver, you got to start getting started on it now. So it seems like there's some misunderstanding about your case, but please email the office info@jqqlaw.com to schedule a full consultation. MN955 says, is there such a thing, fiance visa from U.S. citizen? Yeah, it's called fiance visa. I'm not sure which question is. Beautifully made says, thank you. I will consultation. You're welcome. God bless you. Try to go through. Good night. Good night to you too, Nicola. Feel good. Marriage is taking forever. Everything's taking. I mean, not if you're adjusting status, but generally, yeah. Thank you, Rajesh. Can I get advanced parole? I don't know. I don't know anything about you. If you have a question, just ask it. Do you have to file I-485 Schedule A if you enter legally without a status married to a citizen? No, Schedule A is not for that particular kind of situation. That's for another situation. If you enter legally without a status married to a citizen and you satisfy the requirements, you just file the regular adjustment of status. No Schedule A. Best advice on how to respond to more info on I-30. I think the I-130 I don't know. I don't know what you responded with. I'm not sure what the government is asking you, what the issue is to that. So you need to read the RFE clearly. But probably if you got an RFE on I-130, you should talk with a lawyer in private. Karen says, I'm married 5 years now, still waiting on a work permit. Okay. I hope you get it soon. Everyone says, my I-131 have been approved, interview done, medical process, everything else is needed for a visa. Well, I-131 is interview done and medical. I'm not sure what you mean. I-131, they're not going to give you a visa. If you file for I-131, it's not clear what kind of case you have, because you're mixing up consular processing and adjustment of status. Samuel says, yes, she's a citizen, a way to get a work permit while waiting for marriage green card. Samuel, you definitely first need to download my guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com, because then you'll know that you should have filed for a work permit when you filed from I-485. And if you waited 15 months and you haven't filed from I-485, then you've wasted like a year of your life waiting, because they would have had your green card case done. So definitely schedule a consultation. We got to figure out what's going on. That seems to be a big error happening in your case. That's wasting your time. All right, but thanks for your question. Deco says, my friend arrived in the U.S. 3 months ago and applied for a green card. And when we checked the status, it's mailed to me, but I haven't received it. And the deadline's already passed. Call USCIS to see what's going on. He should call USCIS. Berenice says, we answer that question. You already answered Mimi's question. My 751 pending. Can I file for citizenship under the 3-year rule? If you satisfy citizenship, yeah. You could do it if I-751 was pending. Can a person with an expired visa board a plane within the United States? Within the U.S., they're not supposed to check on immigration status. Azar says, I'm an asylee. My husband is Afghan. If he comes from Brazil, can he apply for a green card with me? I mean, he would need to enter the United States as an asylee. I haven't done dependent asylee in that fashion. I'm supposed to file an I-730 and get them here as a dependent asylee. I've never done it where they might have come on a different status. I'm not sure. Probably not, but that's a situation I haven't dealt with. I have to research it. And it says, immigrant visa is approved. How long to wait for interview call? I mean, your interview is not approved. If you haven't had your interview, then it's not immigrant visa is not approved. Your interview is approved after the interview if they approve it. Pagong says, do you think the Republicans can really stop birthright citizenship? I don't know. If they do, they do. I don't get in the business of predicting things that are not law related. I mean, directly things I can handle, I can do something about. Risha always says, can I get a travel documents and travel when I-485 is pending? You can apply for advanced parole, and if it's approved, then you can travel, but it's not recommended. I don't have advanced parole, and I'm marrying a USA citizen. Okay, Elias, I'm not sure what your question is about that. Samuel says, thanks, I'll email you. Thanks, Samuel. Ahmad says, how does it take for a green card interview as an SIV? I don't know how long. Interviews are all over the place. T says, how long after I-765 approval should I get I-131 approved? There's no correlating timelines. Can you file for an EAD based on I-589 while you have an EAD based on TBS still pending? Yeah, just got to spend more money, but yeah. I think asylum EADs cost money. I'm not 100% positive, but I think they do. Chris says, what happens if I forget to take no on my I-765 where it asked if I had Social Security before? It's not a big deal. Probably nothing's going to happen. Sora says, hi, John. I didn't sign the OPT I-20. I submitted I-765 form. Do I get rejected for OPT? It's very possible. If you still have the ability to refile for your EAD, for example, when you have a F1 student visa, from 90 days before graduation to 60 days after graduation, you can request a new I-20 from the school, have it signed, everything, and send it within 30 days of that signing with a school official to USCIS. If you still have time, I would spend the money, just refile it, because they can deny it. They might not notice, but they can deny it for that. And then you're really out of luck. Mario, I've asked your question in detail on the K1 of our marriage spouse petition. We have tons of videos I just recorded and put on TikTok as well as on our YouTube page. It's just too much to talk about. 12, 15 minutes of just going through like 70, 80% of the stuff that's important you got to consider when you're comparing K1 visa and marriage visa in that video. Nicola says, I filed for my ex-husband's daughter, but the NBC closed her case. I don't see how now that it's reopened will affect me. My ex-husband's daughter, but I don't know. I'm not sure exactly. If you're trying to stop the case from her, then just don't submit affidavit of support. But maybe she could do VAWA, I guess. I don't know. But I'm not a VAWA expert, but it's not exactly clear what your question is. Jokuda says, I've not received my Social Security office. My Social Security USCIS. I already answered that question. Is it true that it takes a decade for a sibling to immigrate I-130? More. Marriage fraud possible to be deported? Most likely you'll be deported for marriage fraud. Elliot says, I don't have advanced parole or marriage. What can I do? And I'm married. What can I do? We'll start the process. Schedule a consultation, info@jklaw.com, and we'll go into it. Mimi, I know you keep answering the specific thing. I already answered your question. 1 to 2 years after starting the initial process with USCIS, probably closer to 2 years for that. How long after VAWA ED? I don't know. Bernie says, thank you. You're welcome. Is there an expiry on H4 EAD card, or is it valid as long as my spouse? The EAD will have an expiration date listed on it, so just look at the card. How long after married to a U.S. citizen can you apply for a green card? There's no time limit. Usually my clients contact me before they get married so that we have all the paperwork ready. And the second they get married and we get the marriage certificate, we mail the case in. What's the timeline for marriage-based green card? I heard 6 months. Could be 3 months. Could be many years. Hello, Sir Donald Trump said that we will return the asylum case people to their own country. Maybe not. I don't know. You're welcome, Mimi. Just got a receipt for my marriage case. When should I expect an interview? I don't know. It's not clear. Whenever USCIS wants to do it, or whoever's agency in charge wants to do it. My wife got a 221G after her visa interview. It's been 6 months. What should I do? File a lawsuit for delay in response. Mimi says, you're awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Mimi. I'm glad I was able to connect with you. I know there's so much questions going on. You can't listen to all of it. You kind of lose track. Joe Gotti says, I'm on F1. I'm married U.S. citizen. Can I drop my classes? You want to start the process first, so you have the period of authorized stay from your adjustment of status case before dropping classes. But I can't advise someone to violate their status, but especially if I don't know anything about them. Probably it's okay, but I'd schedule a consultation first to talk about the risks involved. Paulie says, if you get a green card without an interview, does it mean you'll have one when applying for 10-year green card? They typically don't interview. Actually, if you have a 2-year green card and you're saying removal conditions kind of thing, essentially, other than for citizenship, none of my cases are getting interviews. Now, I'm an attorney. I've done this for 10 plus years and I focus on this a lot. So my whole life is this stuff. So most of my cases probably are well developed enough where they're not getting an interview. Having said that, USCIS is pretty lenient in waiving interviews, though. It's not just because I'm great that I say that, but or something like that. But most likely, you just won't have an interview if you have a clean enough case, except for citizenship. That's mandatory interview. Soraya says, is there any possibility to update the uploaded documents? This is still pending. You should give it a shot, but I doubt it. I doubt once it's in, that's the record, and it was invalid. Nihar says, why hasn't the priority date for F2B not moved in the visa bulletin for 3 years? You got to ask the Department of State about that, not me. RD says, I just got my, we answered that. How long does it take USCIS notified you that they received your I-601 waiver? USCIS is kind of lags, but within 1 to 3 months, you should have a receipt. If not, call them or figure it out. You'll know by the fact that they charge your credit card or they cash your check that they got the case. That's the best way to know. Okay, let's see more questions. We got 7 more minutes. Chrissy says, what happens if I forgot to take no? Oh, we answered that question. Where is my office? I'm technically in Los Angeles, but I don't go in the office anymore. I work fully remotely. All the work we do is remote. So if you're anywhere in the United States, any city, any state, and any country in the world, we do work. Because the cases I handle are only cases where we submit documents by mail, email, upload, all that kind of stuff. And we do Zoom interviews with our clients. We have Dropbox for transferring documents. There's all these different things. So it's all virtual, 100% virtual offer. Oh, we got a ton of questions all of a sudden. What's going on? Can you do it? Okay. Damn, I skipped through a lot of questions. Sorry, buddy. When can we file removal conditions? 90 days, within 90 days before expiration of the card, unless you're certain exceptions that allow you to go sooner, like if you're married to a military person or active military. How long is Islamabad embassy taking? Forever, probably 2 years, if not more. Do you think DACA is going to weigh? I don't know. It's not up to me. Can you do your biometric appointment at a different state from the initially scheduled? It depends on the local biometrics appointment center if they'll allow it. They used to always allow it. After COVID, they got more strict. You contact USCIS through an online system now to change it anyways. Just do that. Kate says, can I safely travel overseas with expiring green card by USA extension letter 48 months? I can't say safely. I can't make that guarantee. But as long as you don't have criminal history and you have like a immigration fraud, misrepresentation, or issues with your background, it should be okay. But I don't know enough about your background to be able to give you that kind of advice. Baby Love says, I responded to an RFE for I-485. It's been almost a year. Married, no update on the case. Yeah, just that's how it goes. Lisa says, can my dad re-enter U.S. with expired green card? It's been 8 years since he left. He's 71. He could try, up to the government with the let him in or not. CBP. XO says, I have a C21 class visa for my spouse. I'm LPR and DQ'd 5 months before. How much time does it take for interview? I don't know. It's up to them. Deacon says, hey, what about the group P1 visa? Can an individual in the group take solo bookings? I'm not the P1 expert at our firm. Our associate handles that, so I'll leave that to him. I schedule a consultation talk with him. What is the average processing time for TPS, EAD, and travel documents? 3 months to 2 years. Kata says, what's the approval rate for Somali nationality-based asylum? I don't keep track of every single statistic in the immigration system. This is some of these questions, but I don't know exactly how the pi for the 20 digits, the 3.1987. I don't know. I know Pakistan a lot because I deal with that. I deal with Abu Dhabi on certain ones, but Somali is just not that big a demand, so I can't remember. Like if it's China or Mexico and stuff, like countries I deal with frequently, London, I can tell you, but Somali is just not that much in demand. Contact a lawyer in Minnesota; they deal with them much more. Does the Paulie says, is it a problem to change address, city, state while process waiting for green card? They can lose it. You can move and they send the green card to the old place. They can send an RFE to the old address or a denial notice and you don't get it and then you can't respond in time. So there's risks involved moving, but at the end of the day, you got to move. You got to move. Paranoid Android says, stop tasking time processing questions. It knows my pet peeves in here for a while. It's not possible to really answer these questions. Like there really is. There literally is. Like we got this I-24, which is this horrible case you have to do where if someone gets their green card in the United States and then they have a family member outside to get them case going, you have to submit this from I-24. Some cases it takes 3 months. Some cases it's 2 years. And so when you ask how long it takes, if I say 3 months to 24 months, that's kind of a worthless timeline to give somebody. So it's like, you know, I can say it, but I feel foolish even saying it, but that's just the timelines that exist. So it's kind of worthless because it's such a wide variation. How long before getting work for advanced parole? I don't know. Depends on what kind of case you have. I have a green card. I'm joining the Army. Do I have to apply for removal conditions? If you submit your N400, so let me make sure, Dieter, if you're listening, listen to this. So first things first, we do free consultations for active duty military people, Dieter. So email the office and talk to an associate about that. But essentially, if the 90-day window for filing the renewal of your I-751, your 2-year conditional green card, the I-751 form, has not started yet, you could file N400 and prevent your need for filing for removal conditions. But again, you have to file it before the 90-day window opens up, and they'll give you expedited processing because you're in the military, and you'll get your citizenship going and stuff like that. But just make sure to file it in time. Sherry says, where are you looking? I'm looking for an immigration lawyer. I'm in Los Angeles, but as I mentioned, we have a virtual office. If you have a case that's in court that needs to go to asylum interviews and stuff, we can't do that kind of stuff. We don't accept it. But for other cases where it's just mailing stuff into the government, when we do it, so Sherry, what you got to do is email the office to start. info@jqqlaw.com is the email address to briefly explain your situation, Sherry, and we'll take it from there. Ruby says, when to file for removal conditions, how many days for the date of conditional green card? You have a 90-day window before the conditional green card expires for you to file for I-751 removal of conditions. You want to file it in the first week possible. That's the best way to do it. Chris says, do DACA recipients have an easier time applying for citizenship after marriage? Well, you don't file for citizenship after marriage. You file for a green card. After having a green card for many years, you file for citizenship. And having DACA by itself doesn't help at all. If you enter lawfully, it's the same. Just file a marriage green card. If you haven't, you got to travel on DACA potentially, and you come back in with advanced parole, then you can marriage. So it does help if you didn't enter the U.S. lawfully. The DACA could help fix it, but we need to know more information about your background. Paul says, if I get a green card or citizenship, can I sponsor a sister who's 30 years old? If you have citizenship, not a green card, you sponsor your sister. It's going to take 15 years, though. I filed I-130 for my husband who's in Mexico. It's been 9 months. Haven't heard anything. How much longer? Probably 3 to 6 more months for an I-130 to be approved. And then you got to deal with the Mexico wait for an interview. Yanni says, what are my options if I marry my girlfriend? She can't sponsor me and we don't have a co-signer. That becomes a big problem. You'll need to get a joint sponsor. So just got to figure that part out first. Fortunately, I don't have a solution for that unless she finds a job or something. Tamor says, will F2A filing date change anytime soon? I don't have any information. Hope it does because the timeline, the delay is out of control. Paranoid Samuel says, I just sent an email. Hope I can hear from you as soon as possible. Thanks, Samuel. I'll try to respond. I'm going to respond with the link to our scheduling consultation with my associates. So I'll try to do it in a sec. Note that consultations are paid, but I'll see how much it costs there. Paranoid Andrew says, now that Israel has been added to the list of visa waiver program member countries, can Israelis enter the U.S. under the visa waiver without issue despite what's going on over there? Yes and no. I was recommending a lot of Israelis apply for the visa waiver program. They don't, even though the embassy's closed, they can still get a visa waiver and come to the United States. However, upon reading the rule and the regulation in more detail, it doesn't start until like November 30th or something like that. So fortunately, they haven't fully opened up the visa waiver yet. Check the the website for the Department of State for exact dates. I think it was November 30th. I can't remember exactly. So fortunately, they can't do it yet. But when it opens up, they can give that a shot. Pablo says, my ex-wife cheated on me. Sorry about that. We got divorced. Going to apply for I-75 on waiver. She's willing to write an affidavit, but she won't recognize her infidelity. Should I send proof of her cheating and me emails? This goes into telling you how to prepare a case in a public forum like this without knowing more details and not reviewing the documents submitted. So Pablo, I cannot address that question. And then we'll take 2 more questions. We'll call it a day. Brother, please tell me, almost 4 years, green card not coming. I don't know what kind of case you have, brother. Alisa says, I already answered that. What is the approximate time frame for N400 approval? Well, N400 interview, I don't know about approval, anywhere from 3 months to 2 years. We have cases done in 3 months. We have cases done in 18 months. So it's all over the place. Approximately how much does it cost to apply for a green card after a K1 visa marriage? I have a detailed video on this on TikTok where you're watching, where I break down the price of the K1 versus the marriage green card. But essentially, you pay $535 to start, then $205 or something like that to the embassy, plus police certificate costs, translation costs, medical checkup, passport photos, anything else special unique to your case. And then once you enter the United States, $1,225 for adjusting the status application, plus work permit and advanced parole. If you know to use those, then you know. And those are all the big fees that the government takes. Desi Love says, hey, how long is Lava taking 530s? Forever. And one last question. Let's get a good one in there. Thanks, Parrot Android. Last question. Fadi says, salam, dear. Thank you, too. Paulie says, thank you. Have a good night. See you next week. God bless you, Paulie. Thanks for reaching out. Appreciate it. Why doesn't USCIS pick up the phone? Well, it does. It has an answering machine, like a computer you have to talk to. Come on. One new question to call it a day. Let's see. A lot of repeat questions. Who's going to have the new question? Chris Oliver says, if you send your fingerprints to the FBI, will it show if you've been deported or detained? Maybe. I've had people who have felonies and the FBI police report didn't mention it. So it's not reliable. If you've been deported or detained, you don't request it from the FBI. You request it from the EOIR and from, depending on where you've been caught, from ICE and from CBP, as well as from OBIM. So Office of BIM, I don't know what BIM stands for. So there's going to be 3 or 4 FOIA requests you do in that kind of situation. Now I'm talking this cartoonish voice. I'm kind of wanting to do a couple more questions. Fadio says, I would like to renew my work permit online. What do I have to do? Go read the instructions for Form I-765. I'm not sure work permits are online or available for every type of case. So it depends on what kind of case you have. But just check out Form I-765 on USCIS.gov. And okay, we'll take one more question now. I don't want to act too crazy on here. My wife's going to watch and be like, why is John acting like this? Approximately how much? We answered that. Answered all this stuff before. Do you have a website? Yeah, jqqlaw.com. That's JQK. It's a new website, so there's not much to it yet. We're still adding it. I had it for 10 years, and we just trashed that one. I had a lot of information. I didn't bother saving it, unfortunately, so we got to redo it. So my website's there. It has the basic information, but I'm going to be doing a lot of writing on the website. Okay, let's see. One more question. Come on, new question. You're welcome, Desi Love. Let's see. No new questions. Come on, somebody. I'm gonna go wait. Okay, I'm just gonna wait to the end of it. Okay. And YX says, hey man, I got an email from USCIS about pre-processing about 45 evidence request. What should I do? I don't know. I don't know what email you're talking about. It's something I have to analyze. How to withdraw your case from USCIS? You write them a letter, sign a letter saying you want to withdraw. Perfectly Blind says, my family has been waiting 9 years from Pakistan F4. How much longer? Much longer, probably twice as long. How long does it take to get a green card lottery with high case? It depends on the country you're from, or the area you're from. Query says, you answer your question, can I ask it here? That's what people have been doing. Estrella says, if I enter as a minor with no parents, can I get marriage green card faster? Totally unrelated. What's important is if you enter with a visa or not. So that's that. Paul says, hey, John, just to let you know, I've successfully obtained my IR1 green card last week from the U.S. consulate in Sydney, Australia. So thank you so much for all your videos and information. Wow, that's a good way to end. I'm glad I stayed on the call extra 4 minutes. Paul, God bless you. Thank you so much. Got a green card. Didn't use our office, but has been using our videos, information, our live show. And that's what we're here for. The level of power that these social media forums, that's to help people. You know, we love if you hired us, but at the same time, we're here to do more than that. For every 1 case hired, we want 10 people to be able to help themselves as well in different aspects. Ideally, you want to have a lawyer help you, but I understand the costs and all those things associated with it. But if you're able to successfully do it, God bless you. Say thank you so much. Paul, if you had a chance, leave a review. Just go to Google, type in JQK Law, leave a Google review. Just a 5 stars is enough. You don't have to write anything, but anything like that's appreciated. We'll get one more question from Mary. Says, hello, what's the difference between household member and joint sponsor? My mom is helping to sponsor, so how can I add her? Household member is a person that lives with you, a spouse, child, or something like that, or a person that's on your tax return. You either need to do an IA-64A or just another affidavit of support. The government messes it up itself, so sometimes we just submit both household member and joint sponsor and say, whichever one you want, we got it, because they mix it up too, and then they'll send you an RFE. So it's like, here, we give you one of everything, and that's that. It's a kind of a garbage answer, frankly, but that's just the way they are in government acts sometimes. But just how do you contact the NBC? Type in Google NBC public form or something like that, and there's an online form on the NBC website for you to answer questions. You're welcome, Mary. I wish I had a better answer, but that's the situation there. You're welcome. Curry says, I have a permanent green card for almost 5 years, got through marriage. My question is, should I apply for citizenship right now, considering I've spent 7 months outside the U.S. this year? It wasn't in one straight trip. So if it was more than 6 months at one time, then definitely, it's a good chance for you to denial. There's 2 trips, less than 6 months. Most likely you'll be approved, but it depends on what your life is, where you're living, where your work is, where your money is, why you're outside. You got to go through the whole picture to have answers for that. Schedule consultation. We'll go through it, Curry. I really appreciate you finding us on Instagram. If you haven't already, follow us on Instagram. We have a lot more content we post there on images and statistics and all this kind of stuff, approval notices that you will not see on our YouTube page, our TikTok page, maybe on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. So definitely check out the Instagram page for JQK Law Firm. Having said that, God bless, be safe, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.